This is the story about Johan's desperate struggle to avoid becoming prey in this era, as the only one he can trust is himself. This world is a merciless place where the strong drink blood, and the weak are destined to get their blood spilled. Deep within the gloom of a dense, sunless forest, Johann Aitz crouches in the underbrush. He takes aim at a grazing deer, pulling the string of his bow. However, he underestimates his own dormant power. With a sharp crack, the bow snaps in half in his grip. The noise echoes like a gunshot, startling the prey, which vanishes into the shadows. Joseph, the old man, sighs heavily, saying, "Young master, that was the new bow." Johann, while laughing it off and scratching his head, blames it on the bow. They don't make them like they used to. Joseph tells him, "That was a fine bow, but tell him, he's a noble of the House of Aitz. Why is he so obsessed with becoming a hunter? It's beneath his station." Johann's laughter dies instantly. His eyes, previously warm, turn cold and sharp. He tells Joseph, "Station, nobility, swordsmanship, and titles don't put food on the table until they land an official post. In this shitty world, money is the only thing that matters. He needs gold to survive." Johann Aitz, whose real name is Kim Yohan. After dying in a sudden, senseless accident in modern Korea, he was reincarnated into this world. Being born a noble sounded like a jackpot, but reality was cruel. He is currently ranked last in the succession line of the Aitz family. Forget inheritance or land, he would be lucky if he isn't swept up in his siblings' bloody power struggle and kicked out into the streets naked. The most serious problem is the setting. This isn't a fantasy game. It is an overly realistic, brutal depiction of the Middle Ages. No plumbing, no rights, just death and disease. Johann's eyes sparkling with greed thinks to avoid becoming prey, he needs capital. When he first opened his eyes here, he hoped for some god-tier superpower. Instead, he realized the only superpower that matters is wealth. If he has money, he can leave this suffocating estate. He could be a merchant, a free farmer, he could do anything. Money is the beat his heart dances to. He has to scrape it together by any means necessary. As they venture deeper into the woods, a blood-curdling scream pierces the air. Joseph says that sounded like a human as they sprint towards the source and stumble upon a clearing. A young girl is cowering against a tree, surrounded by a pack of snarling, bloodthirsty wolves. Looking at her, Joseph says that's Dell, Mr. Robert's daughter. What is she doing this deep in the forest? Analyzing the situation, he tells Johann to retreat, telling him there are too many of them. They can't handle a pack of this size. They must retreat, but Johann draws his sword and runs towards the beast, telling Joseph he'll distract them. He go save the girl. Joseph tears up at his bravery, saying to risk his life for a commoner. Johann, on the other hand, is grinning maniacally, thinking, if they are kidding him, wolf pelts, fangs, claws, that pack is a walking pile of gold coins. He's going to make a fortune. Johann leaps toward the beast, saying over here, they oversized rugs. The wolves turn, their eyes glowing red. One lunges, its jaws clamping down on Johann's steel sword. With a terrifying crunch, the blade shatters in half. Before Johann can react, another wolf tackles him, sinking its teeth into his arm. Meanwhile, back at the Aitz territory in Valtroden village, the villagers kneel. A lavish procession passes through. Mistress Madame Aitz, the arrogant eldest son, Philip Aitz, and the lord of the territory, Gessen Aitz, are conducting an inspection. Philip tells his father, Johann is nowhere to be found during this important inspection. Shall he send soldiers to fetch him? Gessen, being coldly dismissive, tells him don't bother. The boy is a lunatic. Whether he dies in a ditch somewhere like his low-born mother is none of his concern. Gessen pauses, his eyes narrowing at a strange sight near the village entrance. Large piles of hay are stacked haphazardly. Gessen asks, why are these haystacks piled here? They're an eyesore. A villager, trembling in fear, tells him those cover the traces of Master Johann's training. The damage didn't look presentable, so they covered it up. Gessen says a bug doing training. That's ridiculous. He puts the haystack aside when he freezes. Beneath the hay, the thick trunks of ancient trees have been pulverized, snapped not by axes, but by blunt, overwhelming force. Gessen's eyes widen in genuine shock. Back in the forest, the situation looks grim. Johann is pinned down with the wolf on top of him. Just then, Johann growls, telling it to get off him. Suddenly, the air grows heavy. The pressure is so immense the leaves on the ground shudder. Johann then grabs the massive wolf with one hand and hurls it away as if it's a stuffed toy. The beast slams into a tree, whimpering. The remaining wolves lunge, but Johann is no longer just a noble boy. He is a predator. His aura thickens, coating his broken sword hilt in jagged energy. In a blur of motion, he moves faster than the eye can follow. Within seconds, the pack is annihilated. Silence returns to the forest. Johann stands amidst the carnage, wiping blood from his cheek. He turns to the old man with a menacing, greedy grin stretching across his face as he calculates the value of the loot. Joseph, while trembling with his eyes wide with astonishment, asks Johann, "What's that power?" Johann had no choice but to admit it. The life he was living here wasn't going to be easy. His higher-ranked brothers tormented him constantly, flaunting their status as they hurled insults and violence at him. Johann naturally began to realize just how merciless this world was. The only one he could trust was himself. Fortunately, if there was one thing that set him apart from the people of the Middle Ages, it was that he'd taken countless exams to get a job back in his time as a modern man. As a result, his head was full of miscellaneous knowledge that medieval people couldn't even dream of. He decided to use that to his advantage. High-intensity training based on exercise physiology, a balanced diet plan designed with nutritional science, and practical combat training rooted in mixed martial arts. And so, the hours of endless training piled up. A few years later, as he continued, his body began to exhibit even more overwhelming, monstrous strength. Whether this power was a blessing from the gods or another trial, no one knew. And time simply passed. Johann looks at the beast and says it looks like he has taken care of all of them. Joseph picks up Dell, asking if she's hurt anywhere. It's such a relief that she's safe. Joseph then grabs his head, telling Johann that what he did just now was incredibly reckless, but still, to step in front of a beast without a moment's hesitation just for a young servant. He's moved by his honorable actions. On behalf of the people of this territory, he would like to express his gratitude. Johann, however, is busy looking at his loot when he casually asks Dell if she's hurt anywhere. Dell thanks him, saying she's fine thanks to him, but suddenly she freezes and starts trembling like crazy, as if she's seen a ghost. A monstrous beast appears behind them. She screams and shuts her eyes. Johann and Joseph both turn, and when they look upon the beast, they get stunned too. Joseph picks up Dell again and shouts for Johann to run, but Johann thinks to himself, he thought this was just a normal medieval era. He faces the beast and the creature snarls at him. The beast roars and attacks, but Johann dodges, then throws a stone that hits its face. The beast lets out a haunting howl that startles Johann, sending a strange flashback through his mind. Him fighting someone he doesn't recognize. He screams and snaps back to his senses, wondering what that was. When he looks around, the monster has disappeared. He checks on Dell and Joseph and finds them both unconscious, as if asleep. He sighs in relief, saying it looks like everyone's safe. He picks them up, thinking he has no idea what just happened. But another monster could show up. He needs to hurry back as quickly as possible. On his way back, he notices the village lights and wonders if the villagers are all searching for Dell together. It wasn't his intention, but he did end up saving her, so maybe he can score some points with her father. He gets a little greedy, thinking his own father might appreciate him, though it probably won't go that far. Still, things might improve if he's appointed to the guard. If that happens, then he won't have to worry about money anymore. As he's thinking that, suddenly Phillips appears before him with guards surrounding him. He demands to know where Johann has been and how he dares show up only now on the day of his father's inspection. Johann gets shocked, realizing that he messed up. His father calls his name and jumps down from his horse, silencing everyone. He glares at Johann and growls, asking how someone like him dares ignore him, and vows to split that arrogant head of his open. Johann thinks he barely made it back alive, and now he has to listen to this crap. His life's difficulty is insane, but then he grins because at times like this, he just needs to turn crisis into opportunity. He confidently tells his father that he didn't skip the inspection intentionally. He was late because he was rescuing a villager in danger in the forest. Hearing that, one of the villagers rushes over to Dell and quickly picks her up. Johann continues, saying that in the forest, Dell was surrounded by more than a dozen man-eating wolves. He fought to save her and somehow managed to defeat them all. Even though he missed today's inspection, he believes he has fulfilled his duty as the son of a knightly family. If his father could forgive him just this once. He bows deeply, promising to continue doing everything he can to protect the territory. And if he can be appointed guard captain, that would be even better. But as Johann speaks, his father bursts into laughter, demanding to know where the wolves he supposedly killed are. Surely Johann doesn't expect him to believe such nonsense without proof. Johann insists he's not lying. He even encountered a huge black wolf. Hearing that, his father's expression twists with fury. How dare he lie to him? He roars that he'll smash Johann's jaw. Johann pivots instantly, asking if his father is challenging him to a duel. Very well, he'll prove his strength. Internally, he thinks his father is annoying, but still he's his father. He didn't want to fight him, but it seems he has no choice. Gessen snarls that he'll see for himself whether Yohan is worth anything, telling him to draw his sword. He smirks, declaring that they will fight with swordsmanship only, no fistfights. Yohan is taken aback. Swordsmanship, his father never taught him any. Soon after, they both face each other in the arena. Gessen orders him to hurry up and draw his weapon. Yohan unsheaths his sword only to find it broken. His father sighs in disappointment and asks Phillips for his sword instead. Phillips approaches Yohan and whispers that it's not too late to beg for forgiveness. That's the only way he'll survive. Yohan scoffs. Begging, he'd have to actually be guilty to beg, and running away isn't manly. He tells Phillips to step aside, takes a stance, and even mocks his father to teach him a lesson. Gessen squares up as Yohan thinks this might actually be better. If he shows his abilities in front of the villagers, even Gessen will have no choice but to acknowledge him. He'll prove himself. Yohan rushes forward with explosive force. Gessen's eyes widen. What's this monstrous pressure? He blocks the attack, but the impact forces him onto one knee. Furious, he swings his massive axe with killing intent. Yohan narrowly dodges but gets wounded. Gessen growls, demanding how dare he look down on him. Phillips watches in fear, realizing their father is genuinely trying to kill Yohan. Gessen unleashes a relentless assault, shouting that he never taught Yohan swordsmanship because even if he learned it, he would still be nothing but a worm. No matter how hard he struggles, he will never surpass him. This territory is his. No one can take it away. Not Yohan, not the Emperor, no one. As Yohan desperately defends himself, he thinks his father is spouting pure madness, and worse, blood is getting in his eyes. He can't see clearly. Then Gessen delivers a brutal finishing blow. Yohan barely blocks it. His sword shatters. He collapses, defeated. Gessen stands over him and commands him to know his place. If Yohan gets in his way again, next time he'll crack his skull open. After Gessen leaves, the villagers rush to Yohan, calling out his name. Later in the church, Father Valverga fumes that Gessen's behavior was utterly disgraceful. Yohan laughs weakly and warns him to keep his voice down. But Father Valverga doesn't care. He's with the papal office. A knight should uphold honor. How could Gessen do that to his own son? Especially after Yohan saved a villager. Yohan says he's fine. At least he survived. Father Valverga insists that duel should never have happened. Gessen wore full plate armor and still fought him. Yohan laughs at first, then goes quiet, admitting that this is reality. He knew nothing about swordsmanship, but he didn't think he would be this powerless. Father explains that Gessen has years of battle experience. He learned the family sword style, fought in real combat, and has age on his side. It's natural Yohan couldn't win. He then mentions Sir Brits from the neighboring territory who single-handedly cut down 300 serf soldiers in the last war. Yohan is stunned. Incredible! So the world really does run on skill. He thought after fighting the big black wolf, beating his drunk father would be easy. Then Father Valverga suddenly grabs him, asking if what he said earlier was true. Did he really see a black wolf in the forest? Yohan confirms it and asks what that wolf even was. Father explains that since ancient times, the black wolf has been considered an ominous being, a harbinger of death. According to stories passed down for centuries, the black wolf brings death wherever it goes, spreading blood in all directions. Yohan studies the book and says he isn't the type to believe in superstition, but could the wolf have foretold today's duel with his father? Father Valverga says it's possible, but tells him not to worry too much. The black wolf is little more than an old legend passed down by word of mouth. Or perhaps God is watching over Yohan because he is someone who thinks of others first, a truly good person. Meanwhile, at that very moment, near Aitz Castle in Brits barony, soldiers are massacring innocent civilians without mercy. They pile the bodies and dispose of them like trash. A knight commands his men to slaughter everyone in the territory and burn every corpse, leaving no trace. They're here only for the gold coins. Suddenly another knight arrives and addresses him as Karamov. He reports that the mercenaries have finished the cleanup and presents the signet ring of House Brits. Karamov scoffs, saying he heard Sir Brits cut down 300 serfs alone, so he expected more, but the man couldn't even withstand 2 attacks. Not even worthy of being a toy. Karamov then raises the ring and declares, "By the authority of His Imperial Majesty's representative and the sword of the Holy Empire, he, Karamov, is the collector of signets." By the emperor's will, he shall judge all blasphemous nobles. To all who follow the emperor, infinite glory and gold shall be granted. He orders his men to kill everyone, seize everything, and burn it all. Their next target is the Aitz territory. Yohan sees himself fighting Karamov in his dream when suddenly Karamov beheads him. Yohan jolts awake screaming, wondering if it was really just a dream. Grabbing his head, he mutters that ever since he saw the black wolf back then, he's been having the same nightmare for days. The priest called it the omen of death. He tries to reassure himself it's just superstition. Even Father Valver said it was only a legend, and it's not like he did anything terrible to it, though he did throw a stone at it. He groans, telling himself, whatever, it'll work out somehow. He needs to stop overthinking and focus on training. Later, while training as usual, his brothers show up and start mocking and teasing him. Their constant bickering pushes Yohan over the edge when he punches a nearby tree, knocking it down, shocking his brothers into silence. Terrified, they run off, while Yohan wonders how they can live so recklessly. He takes a breath and tells himself to just keep training. That's when Philip walks up and tells him what those guys said is true. Their father has no intention of giving Yohan any position whatsoever. Yohan looks at him saying he already figured as much. At least father didn't kill him. Philip asks if he isn't disappointed. Yohan replies that it can't be helped. He'll just have to find another way to make a living. Then Philip says something that makes Yohan stop. Father is afraid of him. Yohan freezes as Philip explains that Yohan is undeniably strong enough to threaten father. Philip continues saying father wants obedient children like him, not someone who lives by his own methods. He fears that Yohan's power will one day take everything from him, just like how he drove out their grandfather to become Lord. Yohan calls it absurd, but Philip signals his butler, who takes out a set of gear. A plain surcoat, a longsword, and a spare plate armor. Nothing else. Philip tells Yohan that he's not foolish like their father. He won't cast aside someone with talent. If he becomes Lord in the future, he will appoint Yohan as the captain of the Aitz Guard. Then he leaves, telling him not to cause trouble until then. Yohan stares at the armor, realizing it's the same one he saw in his dreams. Will he really die just like in that dream? He steels himself, saying he has to overcome it. Whatever happens, they need proper gear if they want to win. He begins putting the armor on. Meanwhile, inside a bar, the villagers are celebrating Yohan's bravery and openly mocking Gessen behind his back. They laugh and jeer until one villager stands and announces he's paying for everyone's drinks. A shady man beside him asks why. The villager proudly says Yohan saved his daughter. The man then asks who he is and where he's from, saying that when someone they don't even know is clearly listening, they're bold to badmouth their lord so freely. The people of this territory seem to have no fear. He's intrigued by their story, so he tells them to go on and tell him about Lord Yohan. Later that night, Yohan walks home thinking about Philip's promise. If Philip becomes Lord, he'll make Yohan guard captain. Finally, his life might be about to bloom. But on the path, he notices someone lying on the ground. He walks over and asks where their home is, saying he'll take them there. But then he notices something wrong. Before he can react, the man suddenly appears behind him, pressing a knife to his throat, startling Yohan into stillness. Yohan, held captive, tries to think who it could be. Is it an assassin sent by Gessen? He quickly dismisses the idea, thinking if it were Gessen, he would have come to kill him himself. Then was it someone sent by Madam? Gritting his teeth, Yohan realizes he has no idea who sent this man. He asks what the man wants, assuming he's doing this for money. Yohan says he'll give him everything he has. Just let him go. But the man calmly replies that he already has plenty of money. Then he warns Yohan that he's going to ask him a few questions, and if he doesn't like Yohan's answers, he'll pierce his throat right here, right now. Yohan panics internally, thinking questions all of a sudden. If he answers wrong, he'll die. He tells himself to stay sharp. He must answer perfectly if he wants to survive. The man begins by examining him, saying he has a good body. It's hard to believe he's the seed of that pig-like man. He asks if Yohan is truly Gessen's son. Yohan responds confidently that even from a pig's blood, a lion can be born. The man goes silent. Yohan's heart sinks as he thinks if that was a wrong answer, but suddenly the man bursts into laughter, saying he quite likes that answer. Then he tells Yohan he's his now, and Yohan gets shocked. The man introduces himself as Kaegal, master of deadly poison from the Nesos Guild, the Empire's top assassination guild. After countless assassinations, he perfected his own swordsmanship, earning the alias Venomous Snake because his movements resembled a serpent. But he had one great worry. He couldn't find anyone worthy of inheriting his swordsmanship. He tried searching within the Assassination Guild, but they were all vermin unfit to learn it. A few times he found kids with potential, but in the end, over 30 children of knightly families died at his hands, deaths committed in the name of honor. Growing anxious and frustrated after years without a successor, Kaegal visited the Witch of the Empire. She told him his successor lived in Aitz territory, so he headed there. He wanted to believe her. He was an old man who had wasted too many years searching, but even as he arrived in Aitz, he remained suspicious. Could his successor truly be in a countryside like this? He decided that if the boy didn't impress him, he would kill him without mercy. Kaegal introduces himself to Yohan properly and says he has no time to waste anymore. Yohan must become his successor. He gives him a choice: die here by his hand or learn his swordsmanship. Yohan immediately asks how much he has to pay to learn that swordsmanship. Kaegal replies that he doesn't accept money. Yohan's eyes sparkle with shock, a guild master with such skills, personally training him, and for free. Without hesitation, Yohan grabs Kaegal, calling him master, asking what took him so long. He says he's been waiting his whole life for someone like him. Kaegal warns him that his swordsmanship is that of an assassin. Just learning it is dishonorable, and Yohan may be shunned as a disgrace to any knightly family. Yohan says none of that matters. Kaegal thinks to himself that this is a first. Then Yohan asks, since Kaegal said he has money if he learns well, will he get an allowance? Kaegal gets stunned, thinking this is truly the first time he's met someone like this. Outside Aitz castle, Gesson tells Philip and Madame the inspection is over and he'll be out for a bit. They agree and promise to take care of the castle, but immediately start fighting. Gesson sighs, exhausted, saying they're always fighting. He doesn't even want to see their faces, so they can do whatever they want. Just as he's about to leave, Philip asks about Yohan, but Gesson shouts at him not to waste his time with such trivial matters. He says he doesn't care whether a weakling like that dies. Then he leaves. Near the forest by Aitz castle, Kaegal tells Yohan he needs to see how skilled he is. Yohan mentions he tends to break swords often. Kaegal hands him one anyway, thinking Yohan is unreliable, and there isn't a single thing he likes about him. Should he just kill him now? They face each other. Yohan asks if he has to use swordsmanship or if he can fight however he wants. Kaegal tells him to do whatever he wants. Yohan announces he's coming and charges at Kaegal. With a single strike, Yohan breaks the sword when Kaegal freezes, and in that moment, he realizes how meaningless all his doubts had been. This guy, Yohan, he's unbelievably strong. Kaegal faces Yohan and thinks that just the pressure from his punches is overwhelming. If he gets hit by that fist, his bones would shatter, and his muscles would surely burst. It doesn't feel like he's fighting a human, it's like facing a lion. Kaegal draws his sword and his sudden movement startles Yohan, who asks where he came from. Kaegal lands a solid hit, sending Yohan stumbling back. He notes with surprise that Yohan didn't faint even though he struck him with the flat of his blade, calling him a monster. If Yohan had been born 1,000 years earlier, he would have been hailed as a legendary hero. Yohan thanks him for the compliment, but Kaegal continues, saying, Yohan has one fatal weakness, and at this rate, he will definitely die. Yohan gets shocked when Kaegal explains that Yohan can't control his own strength. That power of his will kill him one day. Yohan argues that it's not like he's punching himself, but Kaegal draws a new sword and challenges him again. If Yohan manages to break his sword, instead of breaking his own, then he'll reward him with a gold coin that Yohan loves so dearly. Greedy at the mention of gold, Yohan rushes forward to attack, but Kaegal swings once, effortlessly breaking Yohan's sword in an instant. Yohan freezes, stunned, thinking this is just like when he fought his father. Kaegal asks if he understands now. He was defeated by his own raw strength. Kaegal tells him he must learn to restrain his power. Without that, he will definitely die. Yohan realizes he must learn to control his strength if he wants to live, and eventually become the guard captain of the castle someday. Kaegal demonstrates further. If Yohan learns restraint, he can even do things like this. He slices through Yohan's armor with a single motion without even drawing the blade from its sheath. Kaegal asks if he saw that. If Yohan honies and refines his strength, he'll be able to cut with something as dull as a scabbard. And once he properly learns to handle that immense power, no one can imagine how strong he will become. Kaegal announces the training evaluation is over. Now begins the real training. It will be harsh. He might even face death. He asks if Yohan is prepared. Yohan agrees. In the next stage, Yohan returns to the city with his face completely messed up. He remembers Kaegal beating him mercilessly, and wonders when he'll finally learn actual swordsmanship. Just then, he notices a group of elves standing at the gate. He asks them who they are and why they're blocking the entrance. One of them scoffs and tells him it's restricted. They order him to get lost as he doesn't need to know anything. Yohan gets angry and demands to know who they are to tell him to get lost. The elves reply that they are the Emperor's direct mercenary corps, the Wolves of Aquitaine. Yohan starts asking them about their job, but the mercenaries laugh at him, mocking him and saying he's just a bigger target for swords and arrows. Yohan laughs along awkwardly. Suddenly, he feels a powerful bloodlust, strong enough to send a shiver down his spine. Instinctively, he reaches for his sword, but the guards immediately aim their blades at him. Yohan is startled, wondering why he even tried to draw his sword. A girl calls him a brat and demands how dare he try to draw a blade at Lord Karamov. She orders his execution immediately, but Karamov stops them and asks who Yohan is. Yohan bows and introduces himself. Karamov removes his helmet and Yohan's body reacts before his mind can. His hand moves on its own. He has never felt such overwhelming killing intent, not even against the Black Wolf, not even from his father or his master. The pressure is suffocating. He feels like prey standing before a predator. Karamov tells him to move. He's in the way. The mercenaries mock Yohan, saying he's scared stiff and then walk past him. Apprentice Knight Yain asks Karamov if it's truly fine to leave that rude kid alone. Karamov scoffs, saying he doesn't want to cause trouble on such a good day at least. Not yet. Yohan watches them leave and thinks, the Emperor's direct knight. Why on earth did he come to a rural place like this? Upon hearing the news of Lord Karamov's arrival, Philip runs after him to greet him. He wonders why someone so important would come to a place like this. As he rushes forward, ready to introduce himself as the future lord of the Aitz family and ask what brings Karamov here, he freezes when his stepmother is already there, welcoming Karamov with a sweet smile. She says that if she had known such a wonderful man existed, she would have married later, then invites Karamov inside the castle. Karamov removes his helmet and sits directly on the throne, demanding to know where Gayson is. Philip immediately intervenes, insisting that no matter how great Karamov's reputation may be, addressing Gayson like that is a breach of etiquette. But his stepmother waves him off, saying that since Karamov is the greatest knight in the Empire, it doesn't matter how he addresses anyone. As the rightful lady of the house, she says she will host him. Philip grows furious, thinking she's trying to seize any opportunity to win Karamov over, but Karamov cuts them both off, telling them to shut up. He orders them to bring him some liquor, and says he will wait in the castle until Gayson arrives. Meanwhile, Yohan trains with Kaegal, but for some reason he can't focus. Kaegal throws a sword at him and says that if it had been poisoned, Yohan would be dead. He demands to know why Yohan's mind is elsewhere. Yohan explains the situation with Karamov and the mercenary group. He finds them suspicious. Kaegal scoffs, saying suspicious or not, what can he do about it? The Emperor's direct knight is the strongest warrior on the continent, the key power of the Holy Empire. Even the armor he wears is a legendary artifact. Yohan asks if Karamov is stronger than him. Kaegal says that if he ever had to face Karamov, he would run without hesitation. Yohan says they won't know unless they fight, but Kaegal smacks him, telling him to know his place. Right now, Yohan is just a half-wit who can't even control his own strength. What does he think he can do when he doesn't even know the basics of swordsmanship? Yohan gets fired up and insists he'll do it. Kaegal tells him to come at him. Yohan repeatedly attacks but fails every time, and Kaegal keeps telling him to try again. As Yohan is beaten down, he wonders why he still can't draw out the power of his sword. Then suddenly he feels it. Power surges through his body. He senses the flow of strength. It's not about swinging recklessly. He has to channel the flow of power and focus it at the tip of the blade. At that moment, as he swings, he begins to understand what it means to control his power. His stance stabilizes. His aura thickens. Kaegal gets shocked when the dull sound of Yohan's blade starts becoming sharper. Kaegal senses danger, but Yohan breaks his sword clean in half. Yohan celebrates, cheering loudly when Kaegal insists it must have been a coincidence. He draws another sword and says he won't go easy this time. But again, Yohan mimics the exact technique Kaegal used before and defeats him. Kaegal, stunned, thinks what's with this kid. He only taught him how to control his strength. Yet Yohan is already using a secret technique so freely, just from seeing it once on the very first day they met. He perfectly absorbed it, and now executes it with more precision than Kaegal himself. Looking at Yohan's expression, Kaegal realizes a chilling truth. Unless a miracle occurred, he could no longer defeat this boy. The master of the Empire's strongest assassination guild, Nesos Guild, Kaegal himself had been surpassed. Kaegal tells Johann the lesson is over. He'll be leaving at sunrise. Johann protests that he's only just learned the basics, but Kaegal says Johann is already doing everything necessary in swordsmanship. He doesn't want to admit it, but Johann has become stronger than him. He's satisfied as long as his swordsmanship doesn't disappear. From now on, Johann can live as he pleases. He has worked hard. That night, the two sit by the fire. Johann asks if he's really leaving. Kaegal says he's never stayed in one place this long. Johann asks if he knows anything about Red Face. Kaegal asks if he means the Black Wolf. Johann nods, explaining that he met it once, and had a dream where his head was cut off. So when Kaegal first went for his neck, he thought he was Red Face. Kaegal says if he had killed him, that would have been Johann's Red Face. But terrible fates don't come in predetermined forms. Before leaving, Kaegal gives Johann a few final pieces of advice. First, he must find a weapon that suits him. Something made of Danos steel, a magic-imbued metal found only in ancient ruins. Its crafting methods are lost, making such weapons incredibly rare. Johann says it must be expensive. Kaegal says it's so expensive even he couldn't afford it in his lifetime. He tells Johann he can recognize Danos steel by its luster. If he ever sees someone wielding it, even from a distance, he should run and never look back. He won't live long if he doesn't know his place. Johann promises to remember. Kaegal stands and tells him to engrave this into his bones. Never fight an opponent he can't defeat. If danger comes, run, but if he must fight, then do whatever it takes to kill them. Follow these words and he likely won't die. He lastly tells Johann not to die and then leaves. Johann says he'll take it to heart. Meanwhile, in the castle, Karamov throws away the liquor. Madame says it was an expensive drink. She guesses it wasn't to his liking. Karamov asks what he should do instead. She tells him the only liquor better is in Gessen's bedroom. She says he must be tired and suggests they head to a cozy room. Gessen's bedroom is warm and comfortable. She promises he won't be disappointed. Just the two of them, they could have a very good time. Karamov tells her to get lost. She insists they don't have much time. Please allow her to entertain him just once. Gessen won't be back until late tonight. Just then, Karamov's eyes turn red. He says he was getting sick of it anyway, so this works perfectly. She smiles, agreeing to enjoy themselves, but suddenly, Karamov grabs her by the neck and snaps it, saying the amusement of slaughter is far greater. Meanwhile, Johann returns when his eyes widen to see the village engulfed in flames. Gessen, on his way back, notices the smoke and flames rising into the sky and demands from his guards what the hell is happening. Why smoke is coming from the castle? The guards answer that they don't know, but the fire looks massive, shocking Gessen. He immediately gallops towards the castle and finds mercenaries standing at the gate. They open it for him with mocking sarcasm, and the moment Gessen enters, he's horrified. The castle is filled with the butchered bodies of his people. Just then, Karamov appears. The moment Gessen sees him, he loses all patience and draws his weapon, shouting what the hell he thinks he's doing. Karamov coldly declares that Gessen, who plotted assassination and treason against the emperor, has been sentenced. By the emperor's decree, the Aitz family is to be annihilated. Enraged, Gessen shouts at him, not to be ridiculous, it's a purge. They're trying to execute him under false charges. He leaps forward to attack, but Karamov only grins and orders his men to blow the horn, retrieve the Aitz family's Izar peacock, and purge everyone in the territory. Erase this land from the map. Immediately, the mercenary corps begins the massacre. Meanwhile, one mercenary grabs Father Valverga, demanding the location of Johann. The father remains silent, and just as the mercenary is about to kill him, Johann appears and cuts him down instantly. Father Valverga calls out to him, and Johann asks what happened. The father explains that the Imperial army has begun slaughtering the villagers, and that Gessen has likely already been killed. Johann is shocked, but the father continues telling him they intend to burn the entire village and wipe everyone out. Johann prepares to head for the castle when he hears someone crying. Following the sound, he wonders if it's Dell and freezes when he finds her crying beneath her father's hanging corpse. Johann looks around and sees the bodies of the villagers scattered everywhere as memories flood his mind. Gritting his teeth in fury, he tells Dell to stay with Father Valverga because it's too dangerous. She nods, and Johann rushes toward the castle. Father calls out to him to run, asking where he's going, but Johann is already on his way. Then he sees it, his father's severed head mounted on a spear. He cuts the spear down and retrieves it, but the soldiers grow enraged and rush him. Johann's blood boils. He draws his sword and slaughters them one after another. After silencing them, he questions himself. Why is he doing this? Why is he heading to the castle? He should be running. But before he can think further, Phillips, barely clinging to life, calls out to him saying he's alive. Yohan rushes to him. At death's door, Phillips asks why he came back and tells him to run. He hands Yohan his helmet, saying he meant to give it to him once he became the Lord, but now he cannot. Yohan remembers his master's words. With renewed resolve, he puts on the helmet and walks into the castle as everyone stares at him. The guards try to question him, but Yohan launches himself at them, cutting them down mercilessly. Then, Karamov appears with his blood-soaked sword, recognizing Yohan as the man who stood at the gate earlier. Yohan faces him, saying he's not in the mood for introductions. Karamov remarks that Yohan must not value his life, but Yohan's aura thickens. His eyes burn with vengeance. There's only one thing left in his heart, that's revenge for his fallen people. This chapter changes everything, because this is where the real story truly begins. Amidst the chaos, Yohan and Karamov clash head-on, unleashing overwhelming strength and raw power. In an instant, Karamov's sword slices straight through Yohan's blade, cutting it cleanly in half as Yohan is forced to step back. But Yohan refuses to stop. He charges in again, only for Karamov to keep breaking his swords one after another with frightening ease. While fighting Yohan, Karamov grins, thinking this is fun, and compared to Brits, this is an entirely different level. Yohan even throws one of his own men at him, but without a moment's hesitation, Karamov cuts the man in half. The thrill surges through him as he demands Yohan to entertain him more. Then Yohan swings his sword and actually manages to slice through Karamov's Danish armor, something that shouldn't be possible. Karamov gets stunned. For a human to damage Dana's steel is unthinkable. What in the world is he? Yohan charges again. Karamov can't believe it. He's never heard of power like this. Yet Yohan fights like an ignorant brute with nothing but brute strength, just wildly swinging his sword without any technique. Karamov strikes him, thinking he can't even block a simple thrust. Is this guy really fighting purely on instinct? Could it be that Yohan has never learned proper swordsmanship from Gessen? Karamov steadies himself, thinking that the moment Yohan makes another reckless slash, he'll remove that high and mighty head of his shoulders. Yohan jumps at him, but at the very last instant, he completely shifts his stance, shocking Karamov to his core. Yohan unleashes a devastating blow, overwhelming Karamov and sending him reeling. Karamov screams as the attack tears through him, and before he can recover, Yohan punches him with full force, causing internal damage as Karamov coughs up blood. Falling to his knees, Karamov stares in disbelief. That was Kaegal's swordsmanship. He grits his teeth, furious that Yohan was hiding his true skill the entire time. He had let his guard down completely. Yohan stands before him, eyes cold, as Karamov coughs blood again. Yohan removes his helmet and demands to know why he did all of this. Karamov answers that it was for His Majesty, the Emperor. The Holy Empire is more precarious now than ever before. Then he suddenly burst into manic laughter, telling Yohan how impressed he is. He has faced knights and warriors for decades, but he has never seen anyone like Yohan. Karamov looks up at him and makes an offer. Join them. His Majesty needs a man of Yohan's talent. The Empire's boundless gold will grant him glory with vast, fertile lands and a knighthood personally bestowed by the Emperor. He tells Yohan to become the Emperor's sword. Yohan pauses, thinking how strange it is. This is the very life he always dreamed of, yet right now, he feels nothing. He refuses. Karamov stares at him in shock when Yohan shouts furiously that he killed not only his brothers, but the poor servants too. Karamov scoffs, asking if he's rejecting such an offer over that pathetic reason. He roars, asking what does it matter if he killed a few low-life servants? They're nothing but insects. At that moment, Yohan loses all composure. He apologizes to his master in his mind, realizing he can't control his strength this time. He begins punching Karamov mercilessly, screaming at him, demanding to know what gives people like him the right to treat others as if they're insignificant ants. He beats Karamov until he's a bloodied mess, then turns to leave, but Karamov calls out to him, telling him he should have accepted the offer because now there's no turning back. He curses Yohan, declaring that from this moment on, his life will be filled with nothing but pain. With those final words, he dies as Yohan looks down at him. Yohan thinks to himself that in this world, where death is guaranteed, he had lived only for money. But now, everyone in his territory has been slaughtered and burned. His family, his neighbors, even if the entire world becomes his enemy, he only did what had to be done. Even if everyone calls him a fool, he will never regret it. This is the way of his life.